Greetings, Scryers. Welcome back. With Irewield's hag infestation dealt with, it's time to send your adventurers back to Baldur's Gate. Your team would do well to move swiftly, though. There's still plenty of danger surrounding the Cloakwood Forest. At night, will-o'-wisps have been coming out in droves to feast on the fleeting life force of those caught by some of the other horrors that stalk the Coast Trade Way during the day. These wisps present as hovering balls of light. Through the trees, they could look like lantern lights of lost merchants. Could your would-be heroes mistake their ethereal light for travelers in need? Perhaps so, Scryers. Nothing is as tempting as heroism for those who purport to be virtuous. Despite their harmless appearance, will-o'-wisps are deadly foes. They hunger for the life force of the living, and they can prove to be elusive when threatened. They can vanish and reappear at will. When they extinguish their lights, they like to surround their prey, instinctually seeking out weaker targets to lay low with their shocking attacks. What's that, Scryers? You say a few wisps aren't enough to strike fear into your adventurers' hearts? How delightful it is, then, that there are more fearsome creatures stalking the Cloakwood by night. There have been rumors of a banshee prowling the road. The corrupted soul of a being that bears the weight of a sad, sad tale, Scryers. You see, in life, a young blushing bride-to-be by the name of Katrina was making her way up the Coast Trade Way to join her groom on the outskirts of Baldur's Gate. She was being escorted by her cousin and her uncle, so I'm sure she felt quite safe on the road. A simple farm wedding was planned with a simple farm life to follow. Katrina must have been bursting with excitement. But those who hurry often don't take proper precautions. Racing along well into the night when cautious travelers would huddle around the safety of a fire, Katrina, her uncle, and her cousin made themselves vulnerable to the creatures that stalked the road under the cover of darkness. Did she encounter spiders? Ghosts? Was she tempted from the road by the lights of those mysterious will-o'-wisps? We do not know. But Katrina never arrived for her wedding, Scryers. And now there are tales of a banshee and her two will-o'-wisps haunting the edges of the Cloakwood. It seems the banshee's wrath is especially piqued by sounds of laughing and revelry, perhaps reminding her of the happy life she would have had if she had made it to her beloved. Your bards may want to still their instruments and silence their song singing. Even one good joke told around the campfire to ward off the creeping fear of the night may be enough to provoke Katrina's fury. As a banshee, Katrina's touch inflicts lingering necrotic damage. Her mere presence fills adventurers with fear. Only the stout of mind can keep their wits about them. And your adventurers better be stout, Scryers, because we haven't even gotten to the best part. Katrina has a wail so mournful and heartbreaking that the mere sound of it can cause weak travelers to topple over. Those possessed of a strong constitution aren't off the hook, though. If they can withstand the deadly wail's immediate death, they'll still be physically damaged. Are your adventurers strong enough to withstand Katrina's wail? Perhaps they should hurry past the Cloakwood scryers. They should be sure to speak only in hushed tones at night. And someone cut the strings off that bard's lute just to be safe. It will take a couple of days on foot to get past the dangers of the Cloakwood. But once they have, dark forest will give way to open fields and farmlands. If they made it this far, scryers, your heroes can breathe easily. They're only a day's travel away from Baldur's Gate, and the horrors of the Cloakwood are behind them. There seems to be some commotion at the gates, though, scryers. It seems as though that there are twice as many guards of the Flaming Fist posted than normal, and they're only letting a few travelers in caravans through the gate at a time. What's causing all this delay and commotion? Surely your adventurers are craving the comfort of a warm inn with soft beds, hot food, and cold ale. Infuriating, isn't it, scryers? Questioning the Flaming Fist will get you nowhere. It seems as though that they are tight-lipped about this sudden increase in security. It will take some time to get through, but business must continue in Baldur's Gate, and its heavy flow of merchants and traders cannot be stopped. I'm sure your crew will make their way in with a well-placed bribe on top of the gate fee, or perhaps a silver tongue will lead the way. Your crew has legitimate papers showing that they have business with the Missing Hand Guildhall after all. Whatever the Flaming Fist are looking for, thankfully, your adventurers aren't it. Coming from the south as they are, scryers, your crew will be approaching Baldur's Gate through Rivington. Your party would be well advised to make their way quickly to the Worm's Crossing Bridge. Rivington is full of smugglers trying to get their goods onto and off of the Kionthar River without being under the watchful eye of the port's authorities. Everywhere you look, unsavory people are trying to move unsavory goods. Amongst the smugglers, the Flaming Fist are out in numbers, and they're none too patient and trusting today. Hurrying north from Rivington, your adventurers will encounter a great bridge known as the Worm's Crossing. The Worm's Crossing is a bridge so large it has its own shops. It even houses the headquarters of the Flaming Fist. Desperate to slake their thirst or eat some food that wasn't prepared roadside, your crew may wish to stop a moment on the bridge. However, it's crowded and noisy, and the guards are terse. Perhaps it's best to move along into the city at a swift pace. All the congestion and confusion makes a field day for pickpockets and the like. And if your crew is fresh back from the adventure of Irewheel, they still have a bag of pay from Mayor Rathbun to deliver to the Missing Hand. You wouldn't want a pickpocket to get their hands on that sack, would you? Why, you'd have to stretch out a whole side story just to get the bag back. Well, that certainly wouldn't do, would it, scryers? Once they are beyond the Worm's Crossing, your crew will find themselves in the Twin Songs district of Baldur's Gate. This sprawling expanse is full of temples devoted to every deity known in the Forgotten Realms. There are even temples devoted to lost and mysterious gods mixed in amongst the temples of Helm, Torm, and Lathander. Monks, clerics, and paladins crowd the streets, making their way to their temples to give their devotion to their gods. Amongst the temples of the more gentle and giving gods, your crew can seek out healing services. They can get curses lifted, or even have fallen companions revived. Now I think it seems like a waste of a corpse that could have been put to better use as a zombie. But some people become attached to the company of their traveling companions. Oh well, to each their own, scryers. Making their way north from the Twin Songs, your adventurers will find themselves in the Sow's Foot district. The Sow's Foot houses tradesmen and workshops of all kinds. Farriers, butchers, and stonemasons of every description can be found here. But unless specific services are needed, the Sow's Foot district may hold little of interest to adventurers such as your crew. Your party can make their way through the gnome-ridden district of Whitkeep and the tenement buildings of Norchapel. They'll pass the walled district of Little Calimshan. The smells of exotic spices and the sounds of foreign music radiate past the walls. Further west, your group will find themselves in the Stony Eyes district, where many orcs reside. These orcs are descendants or expatriates of nomadic tribes from all over the Sword Coast. The orcs have chosen to settle in the outskirts of the great city of Baldur's Gate. If your crew is not familiar with orcs, they may find orc customs strange and peculiar. Orcs prize strength and cunning, and though they can seem chaotic to those unfamiliar with their ways, their society is actually quite orderly. The orcs quickly form hierarchies based on the strength of their deeds and their physical and mental prowess. Though they have traded the tribal life for the safety and certainty of city life, their customs still run deep in the district of Stony Eyes. If an orc seems important or venerated by others, you'd best treat them with respect. They may wield a great deal of influence and power. Stony Eyes borders the great walls of Baldur's Gate City proper. Your group can make their way to the Basilisk Gate to gain entry. Once again, your crew will notice an increased presence of the Flaming Fist. The Fists are questioning everyone about their business within Baldur's Gate's walls. Some folk are even being turned away if they don't have a good reason to seek entrance. How strange, scryers. Normally the guards are all but ushering people in so they can spend their coin and add to the commerce of the city. Luckily, your crew has a contract on hand, issued from the missing hand. This should be reason enough for the guards to grant access. But if that doesn't work, there's always bribery or deception. The Flaming Fist may be military trained and very regimented, but they're just people after all, subject to the same greed and vice as any others. Congratulations to your heroes, scryers. If they've made it this far, you haven't tried hard enough to dispatch them. I expect more dedication to your deviousness in the future. But alas, I suppose that does allow us to continue with our story, though. So we might as well see to some logic. In the lower city district of Baldur's Gate, your adventurers will be spoiled for choice. Cheap accommodations can be found at the Splurging Sturgeon or the Hanged Man. Both have inexpensive rooms for rent, but I wouldn't exactly call the inns luxurious. The Sturgeon at least has a good kitchen boasting a selection of seafood available for its patrons. As for the Hanged Man, you either have to be near broke or on the run from every authority on the coast to stay there. Even then, it might be safer to sleep in an alleyway. For a few coins more, your crew could always try their luck at the Blushing Mermaid. The mermaid's rooms are at least approaching clean, if they're not a bit unsecure. Most patrons of the Mermaid are there for clandestine meetings. But those of your crew who are looking for a contact to sell stolen goods or to gain illicit information would do well to seek out the denizens of the Blushing Mermaid. It's said that the Flaming Fist sees all that happens in Baldur's Gate, except anything that happens in the back rooms of the Mermaid. Apparently, no guard dares to tread inside. Have the proprietors paid off the local guards? Or is it the many severed hands that adorn a life-size carving of a mermaid that keeps the guards at bay? You see, it's said that the proprietors can animate those hands to wreak vengeance on any who displease them. It keeps most people on their toes, and the guards well away. For parties that have a few more coins to rub together, nice rooms can be had at the Blade and Star. The inn is a welcoming but no-nonsense establishment. There's a small gathering room where people can congregate by the reception, but meals and drinks are served in the room. The menus are set, but change daily, and good ale or sweet cherry and wine cordial can be ordered. Patrons can rest easy here, as the inn employs its own guards day and night. If any trouble starts, they can even call in the Flaming Fist at a moment's notice. If your adventurers are looking to kill some time or seek some entertainment, then we'd best mention one of the gate's most famous establishments, the Elf Song Tavern. No bards are allowed to play their instruments or sing songs inside the tavern, as the establishment has a permanent entertainer in residence. Quite frequently, throughout the Elf Song Tavern, a haunting voice can be heard singing a melody. The exact source of the voice is a cause for speculation. It's assumed that the source of this voice is a haunting, as the voice sings a mournful tale of a lover lost at sea. But no one has ever seen the ghost. The proprietors of the Elf Song are quite protective of the entity, so any attempts to expose the source would be met with harsh rebuke by staff and even the patrons. And the patronage of the Elf Song ranges from tourist adventurers to some of the most wealthy and well-known citizens of Baldur's Gate. There's no restriction on weapon carrying in the Mermaid Scryers, so it's best to mind your manners. You never know how powerful the people at the next table over are, and they might feel a tad protective of their favorite watering hole. Well, now that you have options for rest and relaxation, it's probably time your adventurers sought some refuge from their long journey on the road. And speaking of rest, I should see to that myself. Well, after I see to some tasks around my keep first. You see, one of my mimics has gone missing. You'd think they just disguised themselves as treasure chests overflowing with gold, inviting adventurers to plunge a hand deep inside, only to find the mimic's awaiting jaws. Pretty diabolical, no? But did you know that a mimic can disguise itself as any manner of inanimate object? I have one mimic that's particularly creative, as I have reason to suspect that he set himself up in one of our outhouses. Hilarious! But it's starting to make my staff a bit anxious. I'll have to go wrangle the mimic out of there. But I can't even stay mad at the little scamp. So ingenious. So keep an eye out for mimic scryers. They could be anywhere. Till next we tell tales in the dark, dear scryers.